There is no one important thing. There are many things that an investor has to consider. But the truth is, the most important thing is risk. And I believe that it is the job of the professional investor to control risk for the clients. The job is not to make a lot of money, because usually the market goes up. Usually it's easy to make money. The challenge is to make money at the same time that you control risk. And a portfolio which has the opportunity to make money, but with the risk under control, is, in my opinion, the mark of the professional investor. First, the truth about investing. Most investors cannot see the future better than anybody else. And trying to predict the future will not produce investment success. One of my heroes, John Kenneth Galbraith, said, "We have two kinds of forecasters, the ones who don't know and the ones who don't know they don't know." The truth is, the future is uncertain, and yet, what is investing but deploying money for the future? Now, most investors act as if they can see the future, and they base their investment decisions on their view of the future. Either they think they can, or they think they have to pretend that they can for their business. Now, I think it's dangerous, because if it turns out that they really can't, as I believe, then there's a problem. There was a behaviorist named Amos Tversky at Stanford University, and he said something that I thought was brilliant. He said, "It's frightening to think that you don't know something, but more frightening to think that, by and large, most people go around acting as if they do." We have an American humorist, Mark Twain, who said it even better. "It's not what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for certain that isn't true." And this is extremely important. I can't emphasize enough the importance of keeping this in mind. If everything you say, as for me, if every sentence you say starts with the words, "I may be wrong, but," or "I don't know, but," then you're unlikely to get into trouble. The way you get into trouble is thinking that you really do know what the future holds, and of course, in my opinion, being wrong. Now, in our business, once in a while, somebody gets famous for a particularly brilliant prediction. But it usually turns out that they can't repeat that. And so I say that our business is full of people who got famous for being right once in a row. And of course, being right once in a row doesn't do any good, because you never know if the next one has any value. But that's the way it is. And almost nobody is right much more than once in a row. And everybody in our business makes predictions of what's going to happen. And if you look at the great investors of the world, virtually none of them got famous by being able to predict the future of what we call macro. And when I'm talking about forecasts today, I'm talking about the macro: economies, markets, currencies, interest rates. These are the big picture factors. They're very important. Everybody would like to know what they imply, but they just can't. And Warren Buffett said to me one time, "For a piece of information to be desirable, it has to satisfy two criteria. It has to be important, and it has to be knowable." And the macro is extremely important. And everybody says to me, "How can you not base your investment approach on macro? It's so important." I say, yes, but it's not knowable. And if it's not knowable, then trying to base your approach on macro is really a waste of time, or worse. Now, one of the main reasons for the difficulty of making predictions is the enormous influence of randomness. And, you know, things often, we know how it should go, but something else occurs instead. Impossible things happen all the time, and things that are extremely likely to happen fail to happen all the time. Now let's go back in my country to November of 2016. There were two things that were considered certainties, not probable, certainties. Number one, Hillary Clinton would be elected president. And number two, if by some quirk of fate Donald Trump won, the market would collapse. And so instead, Trump won, and the market went straight up. And if that's not enough to convince people that they don't know what the future holds, then I don't think I can. Nothing is more common than investors who are right for the wrong reason, and they get famous. But of course, we shouldn't follow them. That's the importance of randomness. I think that investors should accept the fact that they can't see the macro future and restrict themselves to doing the things that are within their power. These include gaining insight into what I call the knowables: companies, industries, and securities. And those are things where you can know more than the other person if you work hard and have skill and wisdom.